I like the science and the math behind it, but I genuinely wasn't a very good engineer, to be very honest. But with tech, I kind of saw that you can be pretty much anyone you want to be, because tech is very much domain specific as well when you're niching down a product. So I tried to map that out for myself, and product was the best fit there. But for me, what really fascinated me was like how you can actually take what you're building and give it to people, because I didn't want to build stuff to just end up in a room, which is just my room and me just playing around with it. I wanted other, like, the magic of it is building something and then seeing somebody use it and get value from it. So what we're trying to do is digitize the data collection in agricultural supply chains in Sri Lanka. Essentially, how we see it is that if we can convert a supply chain into a value chain with the data we have, we empower an entire industry or entire vertical in Sri Lanka. So agriculture can be taken to another level. I'd say creativity is kind of like the only thing that differentiates people who do this kind of work well from people who are average. But where I try to be a little more creative is in terms of structures, workflows, processes. But the thing is, they also have to, it's almost like a structured form of creativity in a way.
I just got done recording 2 days of my podcast, the Creative Odyssey podcast, here at Hatch.lk, one of the leading startup hubs in Sri Lanka. Because my goal was to be able to tell stories of unique creatives here who are crazy enough to think that they can actually solve problems. To be here at Hatch and be inspired in what I'm doing, and to be able to tell these stories and have this studio and opportunity, I'm super grateful to Hatch. I feel affirmed in my mission to highlight creatives, and when I saw individuals from startups like inviting their own friends to be on here so I can highlight their stories and their unique way of thinking, every single one of them has so much insight to provide to anybody who's watching, anybody who's thinking that they're not good enough to do what they're doing. Seeing stories from doctors who have changed careers into running startups, to journalists, to doing these kinds of things, like, it gives me so much hope to be able to share this to others, to say that, like, wherever you are at, if you're not passionate about what you're doing and you're stuck in your own bubble or whatever, find communities like Hatch, because it is going to be the best thing that you'll do for yourself, because the community is absolutely amazing. Hatch, thank you so much for the support you provided. I can't wait to show you the amazing stories and the insights your own people are going to share with the world.
Today we have Tharaka with us. One of the people who are working with the Hatch startups over here. So, without further ado, let's get started. What do you do, and how do you explain to somebody who has no idea about this field?
Okay. So to put it in a nutshell, what I do is help mainly startup founders to build products. And at an early stage, I help them validate their ideas. And then I work with development and tech teams to actually bring that into a reality. And at the same time, what I also try to do is work with marketing teams to come up with how they are going to take that product to the market. So I work on the full cycle of product development.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's like a serious role.
Yeah.
In the sense, I give a lot of responsibility at this point.
Yeah. So basically, it's if the product is bad from the first stage itself, it's kind of on me to make sure that I'm able to like quickly pivot, especially with startups, because they have to move fast and they have to adjust quickly. I try to convince, and I have to work a lot with stakeholders to essentially also tell them why the idea might not work. So
Wow.
yeah.
So you had to play both sides. What inspired you to get into this field, and it's what you're doing right now?
I think it's just a very versatile role, and it's a role in Sri Lanka, especially that I saw a gap in terms of people who could do it well, because a lot of people can talk, but they don't know what to say at the right moment. So product management is kind of a combination of being able to also use your emotional intelligence in a way where you get the best outcome for your team and your product and your business. So I think that was what kind of drove me towards that. I worked in a lot of different fields. So I worked in customer success. I worked in community management for Hatch. I worked with startups that are trying to kind of compete with the likes of Canva in the past as well. So what I learned from all of those was that to be in a versatile role, you have to be really fast and kind of like on your toes all the time. So that's kind of what drove me towards that, because I come from a background of actually studying engineering initially.
Wow.
So I studied aircraft engineering, and then I pivoted that into tech and into product management.
Why? What happened with the pivot? Why?
I initially I just wasn't very passionate about what I was doing. I liked the science and the math behind it, but I genuinely wasn't a very good engineer. To be very honest, I wasn't a good engineer, and I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. But with tech, I kind of saw that you can be pretty much anyone you want to be, because tech is very much domain specific as well when you're niching down a product. So you can kind of leverage that domain knowledge for the product that you're building. So I saw that there was a usefulness of me actually knowing more than one domain. So I tried to map that out for myself, and product was the best fit there.
That's awesome, man. And how long have you been on this journey now?
In terms of building products, it's been since about 2021. I would say about 4 years.
Wow.
So it's been a combination of things that I've been doing for my work and also building on my own with friends or just for myself as like kind of fun projects.
Yeah. Was that something you did when you were young or anything like that?
No, no. When I was younger, I was more of in the sense of like creativity. I think I was more into music. So I was into music. I was into math and music. I used to always say that just to those two things, and I was trying to kind of connect those together in different ways. And then I got more into like the physical sciences. So I started to understand like more things like how you would actually build something from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, what really fascinated me was like how you can actually take what you're building and give it to people, because I didn't want to build stuff to just end up in a room, which is just my room and me just playing around with it. I wanted other, like the magic of it is building something and then seeing somebody use it and get value from it. So that was kind of the journey that I was on and what I was trying to do like midway through my career, I would say.
That's super cool that you found a way to help society.
Yeah.
That's really powerful. I think that's a good way to judge a mission or a passion when somebody is doing it.
Yeah.
If there's a way you can help society,
Yeah.
then you can at least, even if the work is hard,
Yeah.
still you can find some fulfillment out of it.
100%.
That's awesome. So what problems are you trying to solve, and why does it matter to you?
So in the past year, one of the biggest problems I've been trying to solve was with a startup called Spectrify AI. So what we are trying to do is digitize the data collection in agricultural supply chains in Sri Lanka. So currently in the tea industry, there is a lot of data being produced by factories, brokers, and exporters, but that data isn't really being leveraged well to optimize the supply chain and increase agricultural yield or output. So myself, Jeevan, Lakshan, Abid, like this entire team of people, what we have been doing is trying to create basically a way that people can easily access and use this technology and understand it.
We're so excited to share with you all the episodes that we filmed in Sri Lanka. We know a lot of you have been waiting, but we wanted to make sure that we did this really meaningfully because it really was an exciting time. When Sharon first came to me and said he was going to take the podcast to Sri Lanka, I honestly thought he was crazy.
And so did I. I was like, is there any possibility we can fit this in? I want to try to bring the podcast there and get to know people and interview creatives. So
we expected to have just a few conversations, maybe a little sparks of inspiration here and there, but what happened was so much deeper than that. We met so many people that not only you got to interview, but that also like came alongside us to help make these conversations happen.
The crazy thing was this daring idea of going to a country, even though I'm from Sri Lanka. I hadn't been back for like 7 years. And all I knew was some people from school that I went to and some on social media that I've been following, but didn't really have a concrete plan to make it happen. And some days we had 6-7 episodes back to back recorded because people were waiting and you were kind of facilitating that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it felt really significant because not only was it that we were having like these raw and authentic conversations, but a lot of their stories resonated with Sharon's. And so it just was really fascinating to see them speaking the same language and to see like just this commonality of creativity and identity and purpose coming out as the themes of these conversations.
You must be wondering when this trip happened. It happened in September, and the goal was to get these episodes out by December or last year. Well, a lot of things happened, and I didn't want to diminish the work we put in, and again, the amazing guests that we've had. So we decided to do something really cool, and we're gonna post however many we can a week.
So linked in every single episode, you'll find a free PDF. It's actually a magazine that we developed. You can kind of think of it like if you go to a concert and you get like the souvenir of what happened behind the scenes and just about the different artists and all those things. We wanted to share with you not only about Sharon's journey, but then help you connect with some of the guests that we interview in Sri Lanka, and then invite you on your own creative odyssey.
Yes, there's so much more that goes into or that fuels this podcast, which is this mission to inspire people to create so that they can get to know themselves and connect with their inner child. So to see that we could bring that story out of Sri Lankan creatives, a wide, diverse range of creatives, was definitely a highlight.
Our hope is that whether you're living in the States, you're living in Sri Lanka, or somewhere else around the world, you'll connect with someone's story within Sri Lanka and it might inspire you to continue on your own creative odyssey.
The link to the PDF of the magazine is in the description, and please check it out. They're doing really cool things that I really think you should be checking out to see their journeys. So without further ado, let's get to the episode.
So that is one of the biggest problems I've been trying to solve in the last year. Essentially, how we see it is that if we can convert a supply chain into a value chain with the data we have, we empower an entire industry or entire vertical in Sri Lanka. So agriculture can be taken to another level. So currently we are part of the Govi Lab program, also doing that. So we are one of 10 startups selected for Govi Lab. That's something that's funded.
Govi Lab. Right?
Govi Lab, yeah. So that's funded by the Bill Gates Foundation as well. It's being run by basically it's Sarvodaya Foundation too. So that is one of the problems. And on the other end, I'm working on AI agents. So we are figuring out how agents or digital workers actually sit inside of the domain of sales and also customer support. So I'm currently building that out and trying to rethink how customer support cycles can work better with AI assisted or AI enhanced capabilities for call center operators or anybody who's really dealing or front facing with a customer.
Oh, that's really cool, by the way. That excites me so much. I'm really curious, how did you guys come up with the concept? Let's start with the agriculture one.
Yeah. So the concept actually was it was Jeevan's idea initially. So he met a person named Mike who was kind of like a scientist who saw the potential in using infrared spectroscopy. So using infrared rays, you can essentially shine that using a sensor, and you can figure out the chemical properties of an agricultural product.
Wow.
So for us, what we saw the importance in mainly was towards moisture, because moisture tells us, knowing how something is stored and being able to detect the moisture easily remotely is very valuable to people who store agricultural products. Because if the product goes bad, then they can tell that this is more likely to go bad or not.
Right.
So that is how that project got started, I would say. It was Jeevan's curiosity, and he really wanted to bring AI and tech into agriculture in Sri Lanka and wanted to help the country kind of rethink their digital agricultural strategies. So that's how that came about. I joined that a bit later on.
Sure.
I came in mainly with the goal of showcasing the software behind it and how people will interface with that technology, because technology is great. Like I said again, it's great sitting in a room,
Right.
being experimented, but nobody ever seeing it doesn't really help. So I kind of try to help them a lot more in terms of showcasing that, I would say. So that's how that problem started. I would say with Vector, I worked with a lot of people, including Sithira, Kevin, and the team. With that, what we were trying to do is create a better way for digital workers to be embedded into the current workforce, because with the way things are going, we don't need to be scared of people taking our jobs. It's more that we can use digital workers to enhance and to basically increase our operational efficiency as an organization, regardless of your size or scale.
So after being in this industry for 4 years and seeing what's happening in the underbelly of everything, how do you look at creativity?
I'd say creativity is kind of like the only thing that differentiates people who do this kind of work well from people who are average. For me, I think creativity kind of took a different approach because I'm not very artistically talented, but where I try to be a little more creative is in terms of structures, workflows, processes. So I try to think outside of the box in that sense. So normally for me, being creative could be thinking of a feature. Like, how is somebody going to use a feature? Where are they going to be when they use the feature? Are they going to be on their mobile? Are they going to be on their laptop? What are they thinking while they're doing it? How do they feel? So an example would be, for example, if we are trying to make somebody purchase something, we want to streamline the way that they get to that purchasing decision. So I would try to think, okay, what can I do in this step? It could be even a little bit of text, but that text could be the difference between a person clicking or not clicking.
Right.
So I try to be creative more in that way. And I think I see it as a huge force in the field of product management as well, where people are trying to be more creative. But the thing is, they also have to, it's almost like a structured form of creativity.
Right.
In a way.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because the podcast, Creative Odyssey, my goal is to change the narrative of creativity. Because growing up in Sri Lanka, creative was all about artistic stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then soon I realized like, no. Like tech people are using it, engineers are using it, yeah, creative thinking, problem solving.
Yeah.
And if we can change that narrative and like help people see like, wait a second, creative can be used in all these areas. How can we encourage people to do so? And that's why I'm here doing this. So it's super cool that you mentioned that. I already asked that question. So looking ahead, as far as working with other companies and you are kind of like a center kind of, what do you like to see as far as the companies you work with? What kind of impact are you trying to like make in the future through what you do and the startups you're trying to get along with?
Impact wise, like I would say that's a good word. Using the word impact over something like revenue. I think for different people there are different metrics in terms of how they measure. But for me personally, like what I really want to do is just build really good products that are used by a large number of people, and a products basically where people see the value in it. So meaning that their day-to-day workflow or what they do might be enhanced, so they might be better than before. So the impact I'm really trying to do is work in different verticals. So one is agritech, one is AI, and possibly in fintech as well. I want to kind of have something to do to impact that, transition from the ways we are currently doing things. And I would say a majority of my focus is in Sri Lanka now, but also to take that global would be kind of the next step.
Cool. Really quickly, as far as AI being accessible to, let's say, rural areas and people using that, like, what do you predict as far as that, getting to the point where people are using that? Do you think it's closer than we think, or?
I think we're getting there. I mean, we're definitely going in a positive direction in that sense. The only thing limiting it is infrastructure, right? Like, as long as those kids in rural areas still have the same connections that people in Colombo do, they can do the same things we do. They can build the same products we do. They can pretty much do what we do times, I mean, at the same rate or same speed. I see that kind of adoption as being more of a unifier in terms of knowledge across the country. And for me personally, I kind of think of myself not as even being in a city or place. It's just, it's just a world of people out there who are all connected through different networks who are just doing things together and collaborating together. Even people who work on products or projects, most of their software is hosted in GitHub. People can collaborate with each other there.
Yeah.
Or there are forums for ideation. There's a lot of different things. There are many like communities. So I see that if we can just improve the infrastructure for people who live in rural parts of the country, I think that they would just have more access, meaning that we can actually increase our output in terms of not just output, but also our knowledge of product and how we actually build more products and services from Sri Lanka.
Finally, if anybody is watching this and they're like, either they're too young or they're too old, right? But regardless of that, they want to get into this field. How do you suggest they do?
I would say like one of the best things to do is to join a community initially. First, before you get into the field of product, I think just think about if it's for you, because it is a very demanding field. It requires a lot of persistence, a lot of energy. You need to be able to focus on multiple things at the same time. If you are into it, I would recommend the so-called product school. So they're huge, one of the biggest communities based out of Silicon Valley, but they do these conferences, online conferences where anybody can attend. It's free. That's where I started. So I started hearing about it there during COVID. So I was attending these conferences, and then, yeah, lo and behold, like 1 year later, I'm working in the field myself.
Wow.
So I think that would be the best way. There's a lot of the communities on, also a lot of them have Slack communities. So you can directly interact, and you can even ask real product managers in top like Fortune 500 companies. You can ask them questions about like, how did you get there? What did you do? So that's what I mean by the world is a very connected place that if you are just looking for it. I would recommend also another channel called Product-Led Growth. That's also another really good one. There's a community called Hello PM in India that's becoming massive, like absolutely massive. They do courses. So I would say to get into it, you don't need a degree, but it helps to have some kind of a background in tech and IT as well. But I've seen product managers come from kind of all walks of life. Some people have been more marketing leads. Some people have done customer success. Some people have just not even been in tech at all. But somehow their skill set is so domain specific and domain concentrated that they can easily come into a new product and help build it. So I would say like regardless of who you are, if you have this like burning desire and passion to be in it, then I think that it doesn't really matter what walk of life you come from, as long as you're committed to putting in like maybe 6 to 8 months of like hard work to learn about it. So yeah, there's multiple ways you can get into it.
Wow. Thank you, Tharaka, for being on the podcast. I know you're a very busy guy. I appreciate you taking the time. All I gotta say is, if this doesn't inspire you to find what you're passionate about, I don't know what will. So all I gotta say is, keep dreaming, keep creating, and keep going on your own creative odyssey. Until next time, see you later.